actual linebackers here. It gets all confusing. Sometimes people say linebackers, they think I mean outside linebackers as well. We're talking off-ball linebackers, inside linebackers, whatever phrase you want to use nowadays for these guys here. But this is a room that I feel like quietly has actually gotten some depth to it. Like a couple of years ago, linebacker was an issue.
Big time.
Like, remember, like we were so excited to get Okereke, even though we also overpaid for him in my mind, because we had no one.
I mean,
no
Okereke proved himself 2 years ago. Last year,
he did, but for what other linebackers got paid that offseason is what I'm saying. For what other linebackers got paid, we overpaid for him. I by no means saying he's overpaid in general. I'm just saying if you look at the free agents that were being signed that offseason, there was a lot of them that are just as good as he is, or just slightly beneath him level-wise, and got paid like half what he got paid. So, but the big thing with Bobby Okereke is, will we go ahead and get this year's version that we got in 24, I should say last year's version, or are we going to get the 23 version? Because there's a difference. And Okereke was definitely injured. We definitely saw him dogging it a couple times during plays and called him out publicly when he did it. We'll always do it no matter what we think of a player. If we see it, we're going to say it.
Yeah.
But he was battling an injury. We didn't know that at the time, obviously. And if he's healthy and can get back to the 23 version, that's a nice upgrade at a position without even changing the player.
Fantastic. And we're already contracted to where he has to play.
Yeah. So I think we get maybe not quite the 23 version, but closer to 23 than we get 24. And I think he's a guy that, again, is probably the best linebacker we've had since Antonio Pierce. Probably safe to say. John Beeson, I put John Beeson up there as well because John Beeson was a freaking beast. He could just never stay healthy, and that just killed that for me as far as his depth-wise, Like, it's hard to put him in that category for that reason. He didn't play long enough with us.
And it's, I mean, we went through this quite a few times. It's like, the best ability is availability.
Damn straight.
If you're a stud for 4 games, but you can't play the other, 13 games.
Yeah.
Really,
And you don't know year to year if the guy's actually going to play or not, basically. But Okereke, like I said, he's been healthy for the most of his career. So hopefully that's just a one-off last year. Let's be honest. We said it all along, too, that there's guys who were injured last year that may have been able to play through it even and just didn't.
There was that. I mean, also, like, I can see from the player's standpoint, you're not going anywhere. It's not so much about sandbagging. It's about preserving your longevity.
Yeah. Well, it's also
business decision.
You know what? I was thinking it. Jay said it. Love that coming from Rob. The best ability is availability from the guy who's 10 minutes late to every episode.
Hey, I show up.
Yes. Not at 9 o'clock.
Well, I was here at 9 o'clock.
You were not here at 9 o'clock. You can do that every time I call you out. Like, I was here. We just didn't get started yet.
Here.
You were there, but you weren't here on the screen. Do not lie to the audience. We will never lie to the audience.
I'm not lying. I was here. I just wasn't on the camera.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Micah McFadden, though. So Micah McFadden is a guy that is another guy. I asked the question: has he peaked? Like, has he reached that point where this is Micah McFadden? And he's had 2 years together now that are kind of very similar, so I think he may have, to be honest with you guys. But he's been a damn good player for us. Like I said, he's just not a back you keep on third downs very often, I think. I think you're going to see third down him come out, and you're going to see Abdul Carter go in that spot. So, and again, we'll see. We don't know what the Giants are going to fully do with, Abdul Carter as a whole, how they're going to set up his defense as a whole here. But that's just what I think is going to happen, because you saw, a couple of years ago, not as much last year, but a couple of years ago, you saw Isaiah Simmons coming in and spelling McFadden, because it's just not his forte. He's a run-stopping linebacker, and he's very good at that part of it, but he's not necessarily the best in coverage. So, You put in a guy like Abdul Carter instead, who is very good in coverage. Guy who played a lot of that position in college. Guy who can move around and get to the quarterback as well when we need to. And it's an upgrade at that position. I like having the two of them there, and I like the way I think it's going to work because it's going to allow you to have Carter on the field with Kayvon, with also Brian Burns. Well, obviously still having Dexter Lawrence, Darius Muasau, those guys on there as well on the up front there, and you're also taking Micah McFadden out of the equation in the role that's not best for him. It should work out perfect. Should. We're Giants fans, so we can't say it's going to. Optimism is not our strong suit. Here is one guy that I am kind of optimistic about, Darius Muasau, who I really did not have. What? A guy just moo at this.
Muasau.
But it's a guy that when we drafted him, again, 6th round draft pick, you don't have very high hopes. We said probably a guy be a special teamer, but he ended up playing, again, because of injuries, ended up playing a lot more football than we expected him to play. And he didn't disappoint. I thought he actually played better than I expected out of a 6th round rookie coming into the NFL. So I don't know what the ceiling is going to be for him, but logic dictates that whatever you look like as a rookie is usually not your ceiling.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah,
you just improve from there.
And one thing we've talked about in the show before, Micah McFadden's going to be a free agent of the year. Does Muasau step up where they go, you know what? We got 2 more years of this kid at the 6th round pick.
Yeah, let's ride with that.
Yeah, I really think that's potential. I really think that's going to be potential. I really do. So I'm curious to see what happens with him this year because he has a chance to do that, and then next year be a huge year for him because he'd have a chance to start, all 17 games like that and take over the role that McFadden had. And I'm not suggesting that, let me be very clear, as a plan. I'd rather just keep them both. But I could see it potentially going that way depending on what the plan is next offseason. So he's a guy definitely to watch a little more closely for because he might have a bigger role in the future this year. That's for sure. We got the mystery guy, Deontay Johnson, who, we've seen glimpses. We've liked some glimpses. Then we see nothing. Then he gets hurt. It's like, I don't think we still know what to think of him. And this might be his last chance. But I do think he kind of sneaks onto the roster because we don't have a lot of guys who are actually legit linebackers. We have a couple, we'll talk about in a minute, a couple special teams guys. They're not really linebackers. They're guys who play special teams. They're just classified as linebackers. So here's a guy who could go ahead and play defense, but he also could provide on special teams. So he's got a spot for that reason alone, I think. The special teams guys that we're talking about. Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, who was, of course, a special teams guy from San Francisco, played just 20% of the defensive plays last year. And Chris Board, a special teams guy from the Ravens, who played just 15% of defensive plays last year. So, again, they have some defensive abilities, but that's not their thing. They're much more special teamers. And I think
very special.
The Giants brought both of them in for a reason. They flat out want to have consistent, steady special teams. They're making it a point to go ahead and build that up. So, to me, it's clear as day that those two guys will make it. So, that being said, I would say 5 linebackers. And it's always a higher number than I think it's going to be because they end up keeping guys for special teams. But I think 5 is even higher than I would want to keep necessarily. I think 3 or 4 is plenty at that point.
Yeah, but usually you want to be right at that 4 mark.
But I think they'll keep 5. I think they want the special teamers. So Okereke, McFadden, Muasau, that's 3. You got your 2 special teams guys. So you got Flanagan-Fowles and Board. That leaves Deontay Johnson on the outside looking in here, but barring any kind of injuries.
Yeah.
And unless he lights it up. He's going to have a great training camp in preseason to force the Giants to cut loose one of the 2 guys they literally signed to become their top tacklers on special teams. Crazy things have happened. You never know. But
Crazier things have happened.
If not, I'm cool with him being on the practice squad because I don't want to give up on him fully. I want to see if what he develops into. Again, small school, you don't know what you got yet. So, what he says? Jay says you're speculating with a damn microscope, Drew.
Down his eyes, crossing his T's, or crossing his eyes, down his.
I don't know what that means. I'm speculating with a damn microscope.
You're really getting into depth.
Well, it's possibilities. It's a possibility.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip,
then you will love the full episodes too.
Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you.